both in Chinese as well as in English. Um, Professionally, um, brother Brother Tan is human capital strategist. Uh, he is now also he founded and is the founding director of the Center of Research and Dhamma Leadership Enhancement. This is what you will be seeing more and more of this. It is called Cradle. Um, this is about human capital development for the Dharma. And we are actually so fortunate and blessed to have a person, an expert like DD Tan Huat Chye to initiate this. I shall now, with great respect and gratitude, invite DD Tan Huat Chye to now share with us this topic called Dharma Awakening in Times of Crisis. DD Tan Huat Chye, over to you now.
Brother Huat Chye, please unmute the speaker, the mute
Okay,
button.
Namo Buddhaya to all of you and Sukhi Hotu. I'm happy to see all of you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
If yes, just nod your head. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm happy to be invited by BMSM. Thank you, Brother KL Lim, for the kind introduction and organize all this and put all this together. It must have been quite a bit of work. And somebody has the thing on.
Dear brothers and sisters, if you are actually listening so as to cause less distraction and disruption to the session, I'd like to plead to you to actually mute yourself so that we will be able to proceed smoothly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Kialim again. I'm happy to be invited here today. I'm not sure this is don't know how many days of our lockdown already, lost count of the days, coming to a month, I guess. So even if it is not normal, life should have come back to some form of normality at this point in time. So I'm sure all of you are coping well. And today, what I want to do is to share with you a little bit of what I know and a bit what I can with all of you. And I would like you to focus on basically the slides that I'll be sharing. And if you have any questions, maybe after the session is over, we will allow some time for people to interact and share views and ask questions. I hope it is okay. Let me just get the slides up here. All right. I have chosen the topic Dhamma Awakening in Times of Crisis because I think, the COVID-19 caught all of us by surprise in many ways. And in fact, many of us are not prepared for it. While we heard about it at the end of last year, that is something is happening in Wuhan, China. But a lot of us was thinking that, well, that's just like before, it would not have come to this part of the world. Unfortunately, that thinking doesn't hold any truth anymore, because it's not only comes this shore, it also comes to every shore and every country of the world, which has caused a global pandemic, and never before in the history of mankind, as far as we are alive, to see such a pandemic which has caused so much disruption to our life. So in a sense, we are in the time of crisis, and allow me to also share my thoughts as a Buddhist on what we can do, what we should do, and the reflection we should make in times like this. And I guess all of us have a lot of time, because we have nowhere else to go except in the the four corners of our house, and we have a lot of time now to reflect. We can't claim that we are busy, we have no time to think about many things. I think this is a good time. In management, I always tell people that no matter how busy you are, you must take strategic pause in your life, meaning we must at times step back and take that pause and reflect on how far we have come to and how far more we want to move. By right, if you look into the Muslims, when the Muslim pray 5 times a day, is part of the call from their religion that they need to basically take their strategic pause. No matter how busy is your life, every day 5 times they must take that pause to be in connection with their God, and that is called a strategic pause spiritually. So I think this is a good time. It's a crisis, and in this crisis, we need to be able to take that pause. Now, let me go ahead with my slides here. Now, the world we live in is ever changing. It's a VUCA world. I'm not sure all of you have heard this, but those of you in corporate, you have heard that it is a VUCA world, especially in this 21st century. VUCA means volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So the world we live in today is very volatile. Things change so fast. We don't even know, what's going to happen next. It's a very volatile world we're living in, and because of the rapid change, it is very uncertain. We would not know what will happen in the next 2 weeks, next 2 months, next 2 years down the road. We wouldn't even know. We wouldn't even know what will happen today in the evening or tomorrow and things like that. So it's very uncertain. We're living in a century of volatility, uncertainty, and today the world that we live in is very complex. Gone are the days where things used to be very simple. I mean, those days when you go to work, you just go to work and allow me to work. But in today's world that we live in is no more true because it's very complex. In the way we do business, the way we deal with people, and people has also become more complicated these days. I'm sure you agree. So it's a very complex world we're in, and ambiguous. Because things change so fast and it is so uncertain and it is so complicated, sometimes it's hard to get that clarity and truth. Just as the moment as you think you are already, there, something's changed and things go back to zero all again. So this is the world we live in today. It is a very VUCA world in the 21st century. And of course, with all these changes, there are good points, and I'm sure you can concur with me. There are a lot of positive changes we as Buddhists and mankind as a whole go through. First thing is the technological changes that we go through. The world of digitalization. We are swarmed with the artificial intelligence and soon to be the 5G technology. We are all offered with so many things in the social media and new tools, new apps that have been put to us. I think in a certain way, this is good for us because it helps us to be more efficient, to use this to be more connected, even though we are far away. Just like we're being now, we may be from different parts of the country, but we're able to connect. Technology has its good points, and those changes are good. And of course, there are bad side of it. Of course, we also know that with this century itself, there are other changes. The economy is not the same economy that used to be. Today we talk about 4.0, industrial revolution, industrial revolution 4.0, and there's a lot of business disruption going on. Every other day, some other business kind of disrupt at the same pace. I'm sure all of you are aware. If you can recall those days, you want to take a taxi to somewhere. It's so difficult. But today, it's just a button away, a click away. You would basically, get a grab and move somewhere. And this is what the disruption has made. And of course, today, especially in time like this where we are stuck and we are locked down because of COVID-19, e-commerce, online, shopping online, buying things becomes it's a norm to us. And these are some of the positive changes that's affecting our life and living. But other days, there are also some negative changes that happens in this changing world, which is a world that we live in. Politically, I think you all agree with me. There's still lots of war and there's still a lot of conflicts going on, and all these things are not healthy also. And there's a lot of environmental destruction which is keep going on because of our own greed and things like that. Socially, we are very disengaged while technology also gets connected, but somehow we are very disconnected. Even speaking to our own people within the houses, or sometimes we make phone call, sometimes we text, and we sometimes do not know now how to talk to people. We are very disengaged. Those are some of the negative changes happening in the world today. Of course, healthcare, while science and technology has moved on a lot, but still the modern world that we live in, time and time again, we have outbreaks. In the last 20 years or so, there are a couple of outbreaks. I remember in the beginning of the century when I was still working, there was this SARS, and they have this Ebola, they have SMERS, all these what you call virus and outbreak. And today we see the COVID-19 as something which is very, very serious happening. Now, if you look at the world that we live in, there are many issues we confront. You can see lots of wars going on. Every now and then there seems to be some conflict people do not resolve through the actual means, but through war.
Brother Huat Chye, sorry, because I
Yes.
think maybe your internet connection is a bit weak because the audio is a bit breaking. Maybe
Can you hear me now?
now is better, but
Okay.
I will try to monitor that. If not, I think maybe you we try to off the sharing, see whether will the audio, because just now some most of them cannot hear what you're saying. So you try continue now. Now it's better a bit. So if the audio is not good, then maybe we try to off the sharing for a while, see whether it will improve or not. Because most of them cannot hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the feedback. Please do the necessary. So can you hear me now? It's
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
right?
Now it's okay.
Yeah, okay. Maybe I should come nearer. Okay. So there are wars, and in the last 20 years, in fact, in the beginning of this century itself, we see a very big tsunami which causes a lot of loss of life. In this century itself, in the last 20 years, we see rapid happening of earthquake. There's a lot of weather changes. If you can recall, sorry, can you see the slides?
Brother Huat Chye, the audio is still breaking. Maybe
I need the slides because I need the slides to guide me through the talk. Yeah.
I see.
So
Okay.
maybe what I can do is I can off my video. Would it help?
You try and off your video, see whether it's help or not.
Okay, let's try.
Ah.
Let's try. And all these are challenges we have to go through. But anyway, can you hear me now?
Yes, clear. I think now it's better than just now.
Okay, I'll off my video. Now, there will be weather changes. In fact, the beginning of this century, we see the Katrina in the US, which swept the southern part of America, kills thousands of lives. We have flood happening, and we also have droughts in certain part of the world. While one part of the world is having flood, the other part has drought, and there's a lot of famine going on. And we also see there's a lot of pollution before the COVID-19, of course. And very recently, even before the COVID-19 in Australia, we see a great bushfire which kills life, property loss, and animals killed also at the same time. And all this happened at the same time. Also, there are other outbreaks that happens from place to place, from country to country. And from the Buddhist point of view, these are all cumulative energy that we have gathered for many, many, many years due to our own greed, our own hatred, and our own stupidity and delusion. And if we look at it from that big picture as a Buddhist, of course, our collective karma as mankind have contributed a lot to the weather change, to the, in fact, in Buddhism, if you understand that if leaders or rulers of country do not rule the country well enough, it is said that sometimes the season won't come in the right time. The fruits that the fruits of your hard work will not be harvested. And in fact, there will be a lot of problems, including sickness, diseases. So because of our collective karma that we have created due to our own greed and hatred and delusion, it has caused a lot of issues and problems. And of course, now we're going through a very difficult time because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And this pandemic that we are going through at this point in time is very unprecedented in history. Is very uncharted situation. In fact, nobody knows how it's going to go, which direction it's going to go. Even the medical people will not know how to handle this in a real sense. Everybody has their own opinion and has their own research and outcome, but it is a very uncharted situation. But everybody is trying to do their best, and at the same time, there's a lot of rapid change. In fact, just last December, I was traveling, and last December I was traveling, and everybody else was traveling. It looks like there's nothing's happened, and just after that, in January and February, suddenly there's all this issue of COVID-19 coming in, which actually affects all of us. So now nobody flies, but those days, in fact, 2-3 months back, everybody flies. There's a lot of changes now. And because of this rapid change, we tend to, some of us cope with it a lot more better, some don't. And those people who cope a lot more better, they are all right. But those people who cannot cope that well, they go through very intense dukkha. And the COVID-19 pandemic, in fact, if we were to look at it, is a crisis at its peak for mankind. In fact, we have never seen anything like this before. A simple, small virus can cause havoc to the entire world. In fact, it paralyzed economy, paralyzed aviation, paralyzed many things that we do that we thought it would not happen, but it does happen. So when we look at this crisis itself, the COVID-19 pandemic, if you can see in the slides that I show, in fact, there's a lot of implication there. Not only it basically stretched the health care to the limit. In fact, many of the countries healthcares are not well prepared for it. They took it for granted that they are good enough to cope with it, but this pandemic has taught us that actually we are very ill prepared for a very stretched healthcare issues. In fact, this pandemic also has made us acquire a different way of doing things and living our life. People are now working a lot more from home. We don't use to wash hands that frequently. In fact, today, we probably in a day, we wash 10, 20, 30, 40 times, depending on what we do. Lifestyle has changed. And in many countries, you find that the streets are deserted. Healthcare is stretched the maximum. The hospital cannot take the load. They have to build a lot of new temporary hospital to cope with it. And even the business of burying the dead is also changed tremendously, because suddenly there are thousands and thousands of people dying, and it just cannot cope with it. And in those days, we used to think that if our loved one were to pass away, we can, give a good sending off to our, relatives and friends. But today we can't. If they really get caught in this virus itself, and death were to come, there are many cases that we can't even send them off. There's no way to do that. And, it has cost the entire global economy tremendously. Lots of money is lost. In fact, a lot of people were not sure even they may have a job after this pandemic is over. Companies is not sure whether they will still continue doing business. And of course, aviation also, we do not know how many companies after this will go bankrupt. So all this has caused a lot of anxieties and a lot of pain, a lot of worries, a lot of uncertainties to people individually. Now, on crisis, I would like to share something here. And basically, in fact, how do we deal with crisis? And this is a very interesting topic because does the Buddha talk about, how we should, have the right mindset to deal with crisis? And if we go back to the Chula Malukya Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya 63, there is a story about the parable of the poison arrow. I think some of you are quite familiar with this story, but nevertheless, for the benefit of those who may not have heard the story, one time one of the Buddha's disciple is called Chula Malukya Putta or Putra. Putra means son, Putra. So Chula Malukya Putta, he became a monk, and like any other fast learning monk, they are also very inquisitive about many things. So what happened to him was he would like to ask a lot of metaphysical questions to the Buddha. Questions like, is the world permanent, not permanent? Is life finite, infinite, and things like that. So he asked a lot of metaphysical questions. And a lot of time when he asked that, the Buddha did not answer. In fact, the Buddha remained silent. And after a while, he felt very, impatient. So one day he went to the Buddha again and asked similar type of questions. And he gave ultimatum to the Buddha, if you're not going to give me a satisfying answer, I probably going to disrobe and not going to become a monk anymore and things like that. So at that instant, the Buddha basically gave him some advice, some teachings, and that is found in this Chula Malukya Sutta. And the Buddha say in that sutta itself, while he was having this conversation with this monk, and says, imagine if you were to be in a forest and suddenly you are shot by an arrow, and a poisonous arrow. What would you do? So now it says, then Chula Malukya says, no, if somebody shot the arrow, I need to find out where the arrow is coming from. Which direction, is it from the left or the right, from the front, from the back, whatever it is. And say, okay, the Buddha says, if you find out, so what, what will be next? And says, no, I also need to find out about, what type of wood, what type of material is used for this arrow, what type of feather is used at the end of the arrow itself. So, so the Buddha say, even if you were to bring the wounded person to see a doctor, and if you were to continuously ask questions like that, where is the arrow from, who shot it, what is the intention, and what is the arrow made up of, and things like that, by the time you finish asking all these questions, you probably will be dead. Now, this is a very interesting parable given by the Buddha, because it basically teaches us about the right mindset in facing with crisis. I mean, a person is shot by an arrow. It's a crisis. It's a problem. And we are shot by COVID-19 pandemic. It's a problem, just like a poison arrow has wounded all of us. And what are you going to do in this situation like that? So the Buddha advice to Chula Malukya is, it will be silly to keep asking question, where is the arrow coming from? So if we look into the context of our COVID-19, this is where sometimes we felt that some leaders of the world itself, when this pandemic happened, they are still playing a blame game. Where is the problem coming from? Is it coming from China? Is it coming from this? And then even in the context of Malaysia, you find, the Chinese, will blame the Malays will blame the Chinese, and there's no end to a whole this blame game itself. And it doesn't solve the problem. So the spirit behind the parable of the poison arrow is the Buddha is trying to teach us in times of crisis, in times of disaster, in times of big problems. Sometimes it's no use to ask all these questions. The most practical thing to do is, what shall we do? And of course, the most logical thing, according to the parable, is to take out the arrow, heal the wound, and when you survive, and you survive well, you can go back to the question of actually find out a little bit more, where does the source of the problem coming from and things like that. So in other words, the Buddha is trying to teach us from this Chula Malukya Sutta itself that it is important in times of crisis that we must have the right mindset to cope with the crisis. At the same time, it is important for us also to make a choice in our life. So what can happen to people in crisis? Well, when you look at it, people have a choice. I mean, you can cry over it, because this is COVID-19, it's terrible, it's upsetting my business, it's upsetting my life, it's making, all of us no good and things like that. You can cry over it. But there are two choices, basically. Either you can bring the best out of yourself, or you can bring the worst out of yourself. So if you bring the best out of yourself in the time of crisis, it is about awakening self. But if you bring out the worst of yourself, it is about weakening self. We have a choice to make this, which one we want to be. And as good Buddhists, we always believe that with the guidance of the Dhamma, we're able to awaken ourselves even though in times of crisis, rather than bring out the worst of us. It's so easy to get into emotional hijacks. It's so easy to get into a lot of negativity, become very pessimistic in times like this. So if we do that, we are bringing the worst out of ourselves, of oneself. That's called weakening self. I don't think we should move to that direction. As a good Buddhist and practicing Buddhist, with all the knowledge and practice that we have learned in the Dhamma, this is a time to use the Dhamma knowledge and practice that we have to bring out the best of ourselves and to awaken ourselves. And I think we should make that choice rather than bring out the worst of ourselves. And at the same time, as a caring Buddhist, this is also a good time for us maybe to bring the best out of people also. In times like this, we see a lot of people are very compassionate and, they're very helpful. They do their best, reach out to those people who needs a lot of help. These are the people who bring out the best of themselves and help people to bring out the best in them. So there's something that we should consider in managing crisis as a Buddhist. Now, there are a couple of sharing that I would like to do with all of you here this morning. If you allow me to go through a few of this, that this is a good time, not just to talk about Dhamma. This is a good time for us to reflect what we have learned over the years. And maybe through that reflection, it can awaken a certain part of us to be a better person. And if we survive through this COVID-19, which I hope everyone will, we come out as a different person, learning from the pandemic and learning the that we're going through. So the first thing that I would like to share in this morning itself is about life is precious, but having said that, life is also fragile. In this trying time, in this crisis, we recall what the Buddha has taught us in Dhammapada 182. In fact, those people who attended the GLAD program, which I conducted, we used this Dhammapada 182 as a basis. And in Dhammapada 182, the Buddha say, rare is the birth of a human being, and hard is the life of the mortal. Chinese we say 做人不容易了, and so 人生难得经已得. So this is the situation we're in. So if you can remember from the Buddhist perspective, this life you have earned it. It's not easy. In the Balapandita Sutta, the Buddha gave another parable of the blind turtle. I'm sure all of you have heard that story before. The Buddha was basically trying to say, imagine there's a vast ocean, and in that vast ocean, there's a yolk floating. The yolk is like a donut, floating in the vast ocean, and a donut with a hole in the middle. And in the vast ocean, the Buddha says, there is a blind turtle that swims underneath the oceans. And every 100 years, he would basically rise to the surface of the ocean and take a deep breath. And it goes down again, swim for another 100 years, and then comes out another next 100 years. Now the Buddha asks the question, every time when the blind turtle comes up to the surface of the ocean, what is that possibility in that vast ocean that when he comes out, the turtle comes out, the head will exactly just go through the hole in that yolk itself? There is a possibility, but that possibility, as we know, is very, 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 very small. So the Buddha is trying to tell us that this life is very rare, is very precious, that we need to, make use and make good of our whatever years of our life, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, even 100 years of our life. But having said that, life itself is very fragile. And because of the changing nature of things, sometimes, not just sometimes, but most of the time, lives can be very stressful. In fact, at this point in time, many people are very stressed, even though they may not show to you. And I think it is a very commendable thing for Buddhist organization like BMSM to organize talks like that, so that we occupy our mind with a lot more positive thoughts, rather than allowing our mind to drift into some stressful thoughts about our life, our business, our family, and things like that. So life is very, uncertain, and because of that, it's very stressful. And what we can learn from this point is that, we must, from today onward, maybe after we have gone through this COVID-19, we should learn not to take life for granted, actually. In fact, life is precious, and yet it's fragile. In fact, because it's so rare for us to be born as a human being, in that 31 plane of existence that we know, human realm is the only realm. And to be born in this realm, you must have gotten a lot of good karma to be born as in this realm. Therefore, we should not take life for granted. And one of the things that we can do from now onward is basically we need to take good care of our body. And this one, if you remember the story of Sujata, milk rice offer to the Buddha was practicing self-mortification. If you can remember, he was trying to aim for enlightenment, and he was trying all kinds of practices during the Buddha's time. And one of the things that they commonly do at that time was to do self-torturing or self-mortification. And he tortured himself so much that actually, in fact, at one point in time, if you can recall the scripture, that when he touched his belly, he basically can even feel his backbone, that kind of situation he was in. And because of that, at one point in stage when he was trying to practice hard, he fainted. And he was so weak that he fainted. And then, of course, he realized at that point in time that that's not the way to move forward in life, that you do not torture yourself in order to achieve great things in life. So at that point in time, there was this young lady by the name of Sujata. He was trying to offer some milk rice to the gods, and he went to the, to the trees, and he saw the Buddha was sitting there meditating, and he offered the milk rice to the Buddha, and the Buddha accepted the offer and took the milk rice, because the Buddha realized, you need to take care of the body. Without a good body, you cannot do big things in life. You cannot achieve big things in life. So the Buddha took the milk rice. But of course, unfortunately, when the Buddha took the milk rice, the rest of the 5 disciples who was practicing and with him thought that the Buddha had abandoned his struggle, for enlightenment. So they left him. But this incident is very important for all of us as Buddhists to remember, that the Buddha is trying to tell us it's important to take care of your body. Without a healthy body, there's no way we can achieve big things in life. It is because of Sujata milk rice that was offered to him, and he took it. His body gained back the energy and strength, and he continued his struggle to seek for enlightenment. And eventually he was enlightened. So that's something for us to learn from the Buddha. And of course, in the other things that we need to reflect about the Dhamma, in this point number 1 is in Dhammapada 204, the Buddha talks about having good health. And the Buddha said health is the highest gain. If you can make sure that you have good health, you take good care of your body, which you have earned through countless of life of good karma. You need to take good care of your health, because only with good health, you can not just do big things, but you also consider to be the greatest gain. I mean, there are a lot of people who are filthy rich, owning lots of big properties and cars, but when a virus strikes him and he got into sickness, all this gain means nothing. There are a lot of people who have achieved a lot of things in their life, in their career, in business. But, when viruses attack, sickness come, all this means nothing. So keeping a good health, the Buddha says, is the greatest gain in your life. You can gain the whole world, but if you are not healthy, there's no meaning to it really. So we need to reflect on this, especially in times like this. Hopefully it will awaken a little bit of our realization about our preciousness of our life. And I would like to share with you, if you can see from the sharing itself, there's a family in New Jersey. If you have read the news, the whole family have their family dinner, and of course at that time in America they did not have lockdown yet. They did not have this social distancing been enforced, and out of the family of I think the 10 plus of them, I think 19 of them, maybe more than that, they came together. And after the family dinner that they had, 4 of them basically passed away. The mother and her 3 adult children. And if you look into the picture, 4 of them just died because of COVID-19. So, I mean, we can be with somebody yesterday, this morning, and in the evening we could lose them. That such is the the uncertainty of life. So in this time of pandemic, I think it's important for us to remember that life is precious, and we have been born as a human being. It is a precious life. We need to take good care of our body. We need to take good care of our health. But at the same time, we are also reminded that life is also very fragile. Okay, that's the first sharing that I have. The second point I would like to make, because life is uncertain, and this is a good time for us to reflect on what the Buddha has taught us about being grateful and to appreciate everything that you have and not what you don't have. I mean, we are so used to complaints in life about what we don't have. But today, if you have the 4 basic things, you should be very happy. You have, food to eat, you have the roof above you, when you're sick, you have medicine and the clothing to wear. I think these are basic necessities that we have. In fact, the COVID-19 has pushed all of us back to the very basic in life. And we need to learn to appreciate that. And we need to do one thing, if we can, in this trying time, if you can sit back and count on your blessings. Yes, we can't go out as we used to be, but always think that we are safe inside, Yes, we can't be as busy as we were, but this extra time that we have is a good time to be with family. It's a good time to also explore some of the things that we wanted to do all our life, but we didn't have a chance to do it. Things like maybe learning a little bit more Dhamma, practicing a little bit more Dhamma in this time, So that's something that you can do. And I always share with those people that I have interacted with. I think one of the things that we can do to count our blessings is maybe every morning when we wake up, don't rush yourself to get your cell phone to see what is happening in the cell phone, in the WhatsApp group, social media. Don't rush to the toilet, but just sit at the edge of your bed. I keep emphasizing on this. Sit at the edge of the bed, let your feet touch the floor, feel the sensation there, and tell yourself, I'm so lucky, I'm so blessed today, I live another day. And so I'm thankful for my life. And that's what we need to do, especially in times like this when we're going through the pandemic. I think it's important for us to wake up every morning, be thankful that we have another day to live, and another day of protected life, and another day of a healthy life. And that's very important. And the reason why we need to be very grateful in pandemic time, in crisis like this, is because time and time again, the psychologists will tell you that actually stress is not good. Stress in general makes you weak. When I talk about stress, these are not those, these are the negative stress that you go through. It makes you weak. In fact, it weakens your immune system. People who worries a lot more, who have a lot more emotional stress, you find that it will lead eventually to physical sickness. So stress makes you weak. So the practice of gratefulness, if we can do every day in this period of lockdown, if we can be grateful for many things that we have, it will not only make us emotionally strong, but also it helps to boost our immune system. And that's what we need to do to make sure that we do not allow our body to be weak, even though we are going through crisis like this. The Buddha also has advised us, when you are sick, don't let your mind be sick. So in this time of sickness, one of the important things for us as Buddhists to always remind ourselves is to make sure that our mind is always positive, is always healthy, so that we do not open ourselves to a lot more other sicknesses along the way. Otherwise, it is very easy for us to fall into a situation where death comes very easily. So we need to be aware, be mindful about the importance of being grateful. I hope you are following me at this point in time. The two things. First thing is we need to be, life is precious, and we need to be aware that although it is precious, it's also fragile, and we need to take good care of ourselves. Second point that we need to remember is we must always be grateful for what we have, and because gratefulness strengthens our mind and makes us more immune to many other things. Now, the third point that I want to share is also this pandemic has also taught us about how small a world we are in. In fact, we are all interconnected in life. We need to be mindful about the interdependency of life. I'm sure some of you may have heard about this thing called the butterfly effect. Now, how does it work, butterfly effects? According to the concept of butterfly effects, if a butterfly were to flap its wing in Shanghai today, even though it's a small, weak flap, according to the butterfly effects, that vibration and flap flapping of the wings by the butterfly may cause a tornado in US. And you might say, oh, this is nonsense. How can that happen? Now, the butterfly effect is trying to say that the small things that you do, the small act that you make, sometimes you wouldn't know it will create a rippling effect, which could be very, very great. Who would have thought something like that happened in Wuhan, which the entire city was locked down not long after that, would have affected the entire world. And this is where sometimes if you can't see how small the world is today, because we're all interconnected, you know, the technology and advancement of science has made us, you know, easily access to each other. We can fly to every country very quickly in the shortest period of time. The world has become smaller because of that. But not only smaller, the world has become a lot more interdependent. So who would have thought something like that in Wuhan would have, you know, eventually led to the entire lockdown in the world itself? And if we look at the situation, sometimes many countries, perhaps the European countries and even US, they were quite ill-prepared in the sense, because they thought that probably this would not happen to them because China is too far away. This thing will never happen to our society. We keep living the same life that we can live. And, you know, contrary to that, you know, thinking, it is affecting the entire world now. And we, as Buddhists, we must always remember that one's well-being is dependent on others' well-being. I mean, that's the fact, you know. If the society is sick, we also will be, chances are, affected by it. And if we are good, and a lot more of us are good, chances are the society will be a better society. So one act of selfishness may cause harm to many others. This is a time for us to say that we must stop, and mankind must stop to be selfish, and individually we must stop to be very selfish, because selfishness may, even though may seem to be a small act, but it may harm a lot other people. So that reminds us of one important teaching that the Buddha has given us in Dhammapada 1 to 9. If you can recall, the Buddha did advise us, and the Buddha says basically, all beings fear pain, all beings fear death. Therefore, think yourself as a being and do not kill or harm. Now, this Dhammapada has a lot of deep meaning, meaning what we do not like, we should not do to others. And if we were to do to others, the outcome, the effect may come back to us at the same time also. So in this time of crisis, it is important for us to know that we cannot be alone in this world. In fact, we are part and parcel of the entire fabric of mankind in this world itself. Whatever happened elsewhere will have impact on us. Whatever war somewhere else will have an impact on the Mother Earth, which eventually will have an impact on our life. And we are all interconnected of that. And for that simple reason, that is why, as a good Buddhist, maybe this is now we know why we need to do social distancing. It's not because the government tells us so. It's not because it is, you know, we are afraid that we may caught the COVID virus or what. But it's because whatever you do or you don't do may cause harm to people. So social distancing becomes very important, not because for yourself, but it's also for people that live around us. And that's the reason why we need to stay at home. Not because, again, the government says so, but it's because it's to protect ourselves, to protect our family, to protect the community as a whole. And that's the reason why we need to wash our hands maybe in 10, 20, 30, 40 times a day. It's because not just to take care of ourselves, but by taking care of ourselves, we also take care of the people around us. And that's being kind to the community and to the people around us. Why we should be kind to the community? Because we are all interrelated. We are interconnected. And if our neighbors basically caught the COVID-19 virus, we are also afraid because we are part of the community and we may be affected by that also. So it is important for us in this time of crisis to remember the importance of interconnectivity, interdependency of life. The next things I would like to share as part of Dhamma awakening in time of crisis is about financial. This is interesting because Brother Huat Chye, DD Huat Chye, why are you talking about financial? Part of the program that I run for Kinara Metta Buddhist Society is called the Dhamma Works program, and in one of the program module, we touch about the importance for Buddhists to generate wealth at the same time to manage wealth. And as far as this is concerned, we came across a very interesting subject which in the Sigalawada Sutta in Dika Nikaya, chapter 31. In that sutta itself, the Buddha is trying to give some advice to the young Sigala on how to manage his wealth a lot better. And the Buddha mentioned that, for all the earnings that you have, for all the income that you have, for all the wealth that you accumulate, the Buddha says you must be wise to basically divide this wealth into 4 parts. One part, you should use it for your enjoyment. I mean, you work very hard. If you need to go for a holiday, maybe after the COVID-19 is over, you want to go for a holiday, go for a good holiday. If you need to buy something which is necessary, then buy it, Don't be kiamsiap, don't be, living a life and torturing yourself. What you need to spend, you spend. But the Buddha also mentioned to all of us, the other 2 parts of your income need to be used back for investment. And that's very interesting. Even though the Buddha talked a lot about renunciation, we need to let go. But the Buddha also understood that all of us are lay people. We need to also think long term. Take the money that we have earned. Don't spend all. You need to put 2 parts of it into investment for longer term. And the Buddha also mentioned in that 4 parts, the last part, that's it. The Buddha says you must also save 1 part for any misfortune. In other words, you save for rainy days. There will be crisis. There will be situation, emergencies. Do you have reserve to cope with the emergency? This is where we see the wisdom of the Buddha. Now, why am I sharing all this in times like this? Because today, as we look into the situation we are in, we find that a lot of people are worried of whether they still have a job when the COVID-19 is prolonged or even ended eventually. A lot of people are worried whether their business will continue or not. And many of them at this point in time, because they are caught off guard, the company or even they themselves may not have enough reserve to survive through that hard time. And I pity and we have a lot of sympathy for people who earn daily wage or monthly wage at this point in time when there is no economic activities going on, there's no job. We see a lot of them actually not having any income at all. And they are not having an income. They have a family of 5, 6, 7, 8 people to feed. The children education still have to go on, especially they are studying in universities. And there are many other challenges that they have. And this is a time, it's a very true for us to reflect the wisdom of the Buddha's message to us. Why do we need to save 1 part of our earning and income? Because the Buddha has realized long time ago, 2,600 years ago, it is important to have reserve. Today, you may have a lot of property out there, but in times of crisis like that, those property has not much of a meaning. If you need cash flow, you can't turn that into cash flow overnight. You can't. And if you have shares, most of the shares today don't worth that much because of the economic downturn. So cash in hand is what is real. And if you have reserve, And this is where you can utilize your reserve in a trying time like this. So I think it is important for us to reflect on this, and especially for all of us, we have been used to living a good lifestyle before the COVID-19. Maybe when the COVID-19 is over, it's important for us to reset the button. What we're going to do with our income, what we're going to do with our earnings and wealth that we have. And taking advice from the Buddha, we should always put aside a portion of our income, because we do not know when the next disaster or crisis may happen in our life. So I think it's important for us to take note of this as we go through the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown. I'm sure you agree with that. So you see how wise is the Buddha? You know? Even though he's not a businessman, he's not any corporate people, but he has seen the importance of how we should manage our wealth. And this is very true in times of crisis. And I think one of the last things that I would like to share with all of you in this blessed morning, with all of you here, before we open for some question and answer after this. The number 5 things that I would like to share with you is dukkha is real. Maybe for the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years as we live our life, we have learned a lot about what the Buddha taught in the Four Noble Truths. We learn it more in terms of knowledge that the Buddha taught these 4 things. But now I think it is important for us to reflect. What the Buddha said about dukkha, about unsatisfactoriness, about suffering, about stress, about pain, they're all so real. In fact, they are so real that they are smack right in front of our face today. Every now and then we are drowned with news of people dying, of people being sent to hospital, and it can happen anytime. And this is a time we also reflect on what the Buddha has said about of course, birth, sickness, old age, and death is suffering. And I mean, not that we're happy, but we're very sad to hear that in certain countries, when the pandemic is there and the healthcare is stretched to the maximum, that they could not cope with the situation, the doctors have to make very hard decisions, whether to save the young one or to save the old one. And unfortunately, as we grow older, we are more prone to sicknesses and diseases. And of course, some of the countries, they have made a very hard decision to allow the young one to survive and to also decide to allow the old one to go. It's a hard decision. It may seem heartless, it may seem inhumane, but that's a reality. Sometimes being old can be suffering also, and of course with death, how people lost their loved one, it is really suffering. And we have in fact that makes me remember that's one of our brothers in the Dhamma itself. He caught COVID-19 just because he took an LRT to somewhere, and because he sat in an LRT which was perhaps occupied by people who have COVID-19, he caught COVID-19, and he's now in hospital for the last few weeks. And while in hospital, they have to try their best to help him. They put all kinds of tube, respiratory, and whatever they take to basically help him to survive and to cure him at the same time. And that also passed on to the daughter and to the family in a sense. So we can see that actually, dukkha is real. Don't say sickness, old age, and death would not come to us. In fact, it can come to us even without we knowing it sometimes. So that's one. And in this trying time, we know separating from the loved one is also dukkha. And we have heard about news, those people who are hospitalized. There's no way we have contact with them. There's no way you can see them. There's no way you can touch their hand. There's no way you can comfort them. There's no way you can even be near to them. And Sometimes, you know, in times like this, separating from a loved one is really dukkha. And of course, when we study Buddhism, we know that, you know, dukkha means what you like, you don't get. You like to go out now, but you can't. You like to go for, you know, in fact, this is a time a lot of people plan for their holidays to see the sakura flowers blooming, but they can't. This is a time they would like to go somewhere and get a little bit more other sunshine. They can't. So what you like, you don't get. And what you don't like, come to you. Uh, we don't like to live this life at this point in time, right? Locked in and locked down by the pandemic. Uh, every now and then when we go out, we have to put on the mask. We have to take care of our, you know, hygiene, our safety. Come back, you have to clean yourself, and you have to basically do all the necessary. And you don't like to do all this, but there's no options. And if we are not careful and we do not manage it well, it becomes dukkha. So in this blessed morning, we need to reflect that dukkha is real. It may not happen to you directly, but it is close enough for you to realize dukkha is real. And this is a time, I think, for us as Buddhists, and also for us to help people. It's always important to say, while suffering is, you know, is there, but we can always make suffering optional and make happiness a choice. Because in this religion called Buddhism, in the teaching called Dhamma itself, the Buddha has given us a lot of wise guidance and teachings that help us to basically face suffering with a lot more patience, with a lot more understanding. And with that, we hope that we can be, you know, a happier person, despite that we are going through this hard time together. So let me just recap what I have shared with you before I end the session here. I think there are 5 things that we need to remember to awaken ourselves in times of crisis. Number 1, it is important to reflect that life is precious, yet it is fragile. Take good care of our health, take good care of this body, because you have earned it through many countless of life, through your good karma. And 2, in this trying time, we must always remember to count on blessing and be grateful. Be grateful that you are safe in your home, but there are a lot of frontliners, the doctors, the nurses, they are in the forefront of this, you know, pandemic. They risk their life for us. We should be grateful that we are safe, even though we can't do the things that we need to do. So that's important for us to remember. And we also must remember that, number 3, that we are all interconnected. This world is too small for us to be selfish. We are all interconnected. When somebody sneezes somewhere, we catch a cold here. That's a reality. So because we understand that, then we also must be responsible as a good Buddhist to do the necessary things to prevent it from happening. That's why we need to do all those practices of hand washing, social distancing, and stay at home and things like that. And the number 4 things that we must remember, I think this COVID-19 pandemic has caught us by surprise, many of us. Business is no more as usual, life is no more as usual. And as far as our financial management is concerned, in fact, if we do not take good care of it, it can cause prolonged unnecessary worries and suffering to us. So we take cue from the Buddha's advice in Sigalawada Sutta to remember, once this pandemic is over, let's press the reset button to make sure that we manage our wealth a lot more better. And number 5, as the last point, this is a good time to sit and reflect in your cozy, nice home, that dukkha is real, and do not think that what happens to others may not happen to us. It may. So I hope with these 5 points of sharing that I have with all of you today will open up your heart to see the Buddha Dhamma a lot more better, and maybe, we'll give you some pointers and direction, what you need to do to rearrange your life. All right. So thank you, and thank you for, yeah. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu.
sadhu, sadhu.
All right. Over to you, Brother Leslie or Brother KL. Yeah.
Brother KL?
Brother
Yes,
KL,
I
I
think
unmute you already.
Brother KL, you want to take over?
Right. Thank you, DD Tan Huat Chye. Really excellent takeaway for all of us. Mainly, these are excellent reminders to us that during such time where we are hit with unprecedented challenges that affects our emotions, don't let our emotions be hijacked, and let it bring out the best in every one of us for ourselves, and also see the best in others as they turn out to help one another. And one really essential thing is to reset our life. Don't take our life for granted. Make this a turning point. It just needs to reset it with gratitude and with a reminder of this butterfly effect in whatever we do and whatever we don't do can also bring harm to others. Sadhu. I mean, we are so blessed, to have these gems of wisdom imparted by a Buddhist elder like DD Tan Huat Chye. Um, we have some time to take in some questions, and as our brother Leslie has also indicated that for those who do not want to, you can also type it, have it written in the chat group, and we will post your questions to DD Tan Huat Chye. So anyone would like, if there's any one of you would like to share or to post any questions, please unmute yourself and just speak up. Thank you.
Brother Hock Eng here. Brother Tan Huat Chye, thank you so much for sharing. I just read one of the question here, get your response from your perspective. You're talking about Buddha's suggested 4 parts of money, enjoyment, 2 parts into investment, and the 4th part into the saving for rainy days. Where would be the money come from for dana, sila, and bhavana? Which sometimes it can cost time, can also be taking money consumptions as well.
Sorry. Hi, Brother Hock Eng. Nice to see you here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get your question. We are saying that Dana Sila Bhavana. What do you mean by where the money comes?
You are talking about the four parts. Say enjoyment is not dana. 2 parts of investment to me is I don't know whether it's considered dana fall into that category or not. And the 4th part is saving. So where would the money come from for dana, sila, and bhavana? Sometimes may also cost time and money.
Yeah. Now, what the Buddha is trying to advise us in Sigalawada Sutta, in Mandarin, is called San Sen Jing Zi Jing. The Buddha is trying to tell us that whatever earnings that you made in your life, I mean, you got a job, you got your salary, you do business, you got your revenue and earnings. Whatever the earnings that you have, it will be silly to spend it all the way. There are some people who do business, they earn a little bit of money to go for holiday, enjoy themselves, and that's it. And they don't have anything else. They don't even invest for the future of the business also. For example, people who earn a lot of money in their salary, every time get bonus, they just go for a good holiday, and then the holiday come back, they got nothing left, things like that. So the Buddha says, don't do that. Whatever income that you have, first part, make sure that you spend it necessarily for yourself, for your family, for whatever is required. That's called the first part. You must use it for the necessary. So if being a Buddhist, you feel it's necessary to do dana, you want to do and you love to do dana, The money you earn, you can use that for your dana and things like that. The other two parts is for investment. The Buddha's spirit behind it is trying to tell us that people who always spend all their money all the time, they're very short term. But people who are a little bit more long term thinking, they are wise enough to invest things that will have return in the future. It could be actual, investment of, real estate or whatever other kind of investment that they get into, but which have a long term, and including education. Education is a form of investment for a long term. So the Buddha says, don't forget to spend the two parts of your income for that, and save a little bit, one part of it, in case tomorrow something happen. Do you have cash flow or money or not? So the part about dana, you need to spend money. Basically, it just means that whatever earning, if you're a very good Buddhist and you want to do a lot of dana, you want to go for a lot of retreat, you may have to spend some money. Then that is part under your utilization, the first part of your usage itself.
Okay, thank you.
Brother Tan Huat Chye,
Yes.
I would want to interpret it this way and another way as well, and I will put it under investment, because this dana and what we spend on our spiritual development can be considered spiritual investment, and
Excellent.
it is investment in spiritual currency that does not devalue, no matter it's COVID-19 or whatever the spiritual currency remains. It does not fluctuate. That's my take on it. Anyway,
totally agree. In fact, that's what we told the participants of the Dhamma works, that your investment, a lot of time we look at it from material standpoint, but as from a Buddhist perspective, the investment also has to be for your spiritual development, just like education, for your spiritual development, which has long-term implication. It means your afterlife, that it creates good karma for you in the future and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, there's one question coming from Para, which says that it's directed to your title of DD. What does DD stand for? How does one obtain this title? Over to you.
Okay. Nothing magical about the title. It's not that we want title, but how did it come about is because in the new center that we have just set up, is called the Center for Research and Dhamma Leadership Enhancement. We're trying to build the new breed of Buddhist leaders for the future. And we do not want Buddhist leader just to get tired running Buddhist organization. That was not the main purpose. The main purpose of being a Buddhist leader is to be able to be also a Dhamma influencer. We need to influence. In fact, if you look at the life of the Buddha, for 45 years he preached. He was not interested in converting people. He was more interested to change the mindset of the people, to influence people to change their behavior along the way. So we want to encourage a lot more people, not just to run Buddhist society, but to become a Dhammaduta person. That you are part of the community and society. You are part of influencing people, spreading the words of the Buddha. And we want to encourage people to be a Dhammaduta, agent in that sense. So the word DD come about is because that stands for Dhammaduta. Now, why do I use DD instead of brother? Because brother is a very common term used for everybody. Even a new person come to our center, we tell them, hey, Brother Lim, how are you? We in a sense. So it could be a very generic terms. But we want to also remind those people who carry the title DD that their mission is basically to spread the Buddha's teaching, to be part of Dhammaduta mission, as the Buddha has done so 2,600 years ago. So those people who have gone through certain programs that we have run, including the GLAD programs, they have an option to use DD if they want to. If they are not comfortable, that's fine. But I use that because it's a reminder to me that I'm doing my Dhammaduta work. And it's important for me to carry that title to remind myself that I'm a Dhammaduta person. I'm not just another person running a Buddhist organization. because I'm elected to, but I have that mission, the same mission as the Buddha had in Vinaya 120. All right, so that's how the word DD come about. Nothing special, but it's a title important for us to remind ourselves of what we need to do and what is our purpose. So those people who wants to use that title, by all means do so. But in future, in our center itself, once people has gone through a series of programs, for them to get the DD, it's just like getting a doctorate. You need to go through a serious training, which eventually will certify them to be Buddhist workers or Dhamma speakers, and they will carry certain titles. And they are well trained. And in the event the government come around and throw us a bomb and says, for any one of you to give Dhamma talk, they must be properly trained, they must be properly certified. We have a process, we have a program to allow that to happen. So we will not caught off guard also, I hope. Yeah. Anyway, DD stand for Dhamma.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think in this present context of the MCO as well, for all of us, the rest who are not trained in Dhammaduta, we just use DD for diam-diam, duduk rumah lah, Okay.
That's
okay,
very nice.
Now, there's another question, DD Tan Huat Chye. This is, we always practice great gratitude and thankfulness. And why is it sometimes unfortunate things do happen to us? That's the question.
I think being a Buddhist, learning the Dhamma, practicing the Dhamma, being a good Buddhist to a certain extent, doesn't give us a license to be free from sickness and other whatever misfortune. It would be silly to think that once you become a Buddhist, you are totally free from all these things. We are not. In fact, like I said, life is very fragile. So we will, from time to time, depending on individual karma and our past karma also, you can be very good in this very life through whatever interaction and contact you have with Buddhism. But perhaps there in distant past, we have a lot other negative karma that we have, which could cost this very life. Even though we are a good man, we also suffer. Even though we are a good man, there are certain things, due to our past, not so good karma, we fall sick more easily than the others. And it could be some other people who are not so good men, yet they're very healthy. And that's because in the past, they may have done some certain good karma. So I think it has a lot to do with individual karma. But important point to note is being a good Buddhist doesn't mean you are immune and free from all these things. We are never free. Even an enlightened being like the Buddha also not free from body pain. But of course, he managed it differently. Even the Buddha is not free from conflict. During his 45 years of ministry, the Buddha faced conflict after conflict. The biggest conflict of all is Devadatta to him. So even an enlightened being like the Buddha is never free from conflict. It's never free from sickness. So let's not think that we, being a good Buddhist practicing, will be totally free from sickness, free from conflict, free from troubles, free from problem. We won't. But the good thing is with the guidance of Dhamma, with the practice of Dhamma, we're able to cope and manage it very differently and get out. We may be in suffering, yet we are not suffering. That's the state that we should aspire to be. I'm not sure I answered that question, but good people.
Thank you, Brother Tan Huat Chye. Brother KL, actually quite a similar question here. Maybe can get Brother Tan Huat Chye perspective. If this person who is getting so-called unfortunate things, bad things happen after one and another, from the perspective they are not Buddhist, how would we Buddhist people actually share our insight to them? While karma can happen, the karmic reaction can happen in any life, any cycle as well. But how do we explain to them who is not Buddhist from your perspective?
I think for Muslims and Christians, it's a lot more easier because they always say that God has a plan for them. And this is a test that both the God has put to you And of course, if they were to die along the way, God has wanted them. He's in a good hand, good place, and things like that. I think the Muslims and the Christians are a lot more easier. The biggest problem for us is the not so much for the Buddhists, but I think the so-called Buddhists, people who never had a chance to come to Buddhist center, who never had a chance to learn the Dhamma. They are neither Christian nor Muslims, and many of them, when they are confronted with issues like that, they have nothing to fall back to. What they fall back to was whatever belief that they have, and most of this time, some of these beliefs are actually not founded in wisdom. There's no elements of wisdom in that belief. So when people go through difficult situation like that, there's always, most of the time, the first reaction is to find a scapegoat and blame. That's what people normally would do. So if they don't have a belief, strong belief in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, or understand the Dhamma, the very first thing that they would do is to find a scapegoat and blame. They blame their wife, they blame their husband, they blame their ancestors, they blame their name, they blame their stars, they blame any other thing that they can blame. And after blaming enough, what normally people will do is they find refuge. We all take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, but they don't take refuge in Buddha, Dhamma. So they find refuge in whatever thing that they hear, say, or they've been told that can help them. So they go to medium, they go to here, they pray under the tree, they do all kinds of belief. They look at numerology. Sorry, I'm not saying numerology is not good. They look at whatever other thing. Look at geomancy and things, and they believe whatever they believe. And even if that doesn't solve the problems, this is where I think when people are going through that period of time, whether we can bring Dhamma closer to them is a big challenge, because number one, how close rapport we are with them. If we are never close to them, chances are people are not so willing to listen to us. And there's no point for us to push through the Dhamma to them. So one of the technique or tactic that we need to do in reaching out people Dhamma if they're going through hard time, it's not even to talk about Dhamma first. It's to show the human side of us, the human touch of us, being close to that person, comforting words, compassionate gesture. And those rapport are very important to win the person over emotionally. When they are more comfortable with us emotionally, in that sense, then maybe later when you talk about what the Dhamma has to say, it goes down a lot more easier than to preach upfront. But the problem with some of us, were so eager to preach. This is what the Buddha taught. The Buddha said life is full of suffering. Now you see, this is why you are suffering. So we tend to preach a lot more faster. That's not the way to approach people who are in trouble. So that's what I can share. Yeah.
Okay, I think we are going into nearly 2 hours already of this session. There's just one more comment here. In times of crisis, many Buddhists and Buddhist organizations have little experience in managing the situation. I would like to suggest that you could gather like-minded people and Buddhist organizations to come forward and develop a proposed preventive management system for the benefit of all. Something food for thought for DD Tan Huat Chye.
Is that comment expecting me to do something or for the community to do something?
It is actually directed at you, DD Tan Huat Chye.
I'm just a small person in the community, so I don't think I alone can do a lot more. But I think the comment is worth considering. Just like a country, the healthcare systems, and as a whole, after this COVID-19 is over, they need to basically relook at how they're going to respond to crises like that. We are also caught off guard as a community, Buddhist community. Many Buddhist organizations also caught off guard on how to. So we have no answers to manage this collectively as a community. But maybe bigger organizations in Malaysia, when I say bigger organization, it could be from the Chinese side, Malaysian Buddhist Association, BMS, YBAM, Theravada Buddhist Council, any other of the councils of Buddha. they should come together, like-minded people should come together and maybe come up with some kind of a, a guide that in the future, if any pandemic or any crisis does happen, how can we respond collectively as a community, and what do we need to pull? For example, I mean, we have a lot of volunteers doing a lot of compassionate work, but it's a very isolated pocket of activities. Can the community pull people like that together so that we can do bigger, bigger relief work if need to, bigger outreach work if need to? We don't have. So after this is over, the leaders of those various organizations, and of course, if they want to invite me to be part of the discussion, I'm always happy to be with them. But they must pull all these like-minded leaders together so that we can, start to think ahead. If similar crisis and situation arise, how can we respond positively as a community? We have no answer at this point in time. We are all responding individually, and there should be a more concerted effort. Something along the line what maybe Tzu can do in a bigger scale. We don't have that mechanism, we don't have that framework, we don't have that resources, we don't have those expertise. So the gathering of like-minded people is start to think about what is a framework, what is a guideline, what is the mechanism, and what are the expertise where we need to have that we can pull together in times of crisis. Our community need to take note of this, and I don't mind to be part of the working team on this.
Thank you very much. And anyway, I think that we can allow a little bit more time for one question to come from the participants who is following this Zoom session.
Brother
Anyone?
Yeah, Brother Kekelim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Chan. Hi, Brother DD Tan Huat Chye.
Hi.
Okay, I was the one who posted the question just now about the crisis management. And I'm of the opinion that this is one blind spot that we Buddhist organization have overlooked.
We have many blind spots actually.
Yeah, we have many, exactly. So we are good at propagating Dhamma, Metta, giving out donation and all that. But I think at this point, we have to take to our stride that we have failed in managing crisis. Yeah, I agree very much that we say we do not have a concerted effort. Although we have bigger organizations that overlook or stands under the umbrella that all of us do. Yeah, so I think you are the rightful person because I have met you a couple of times, and I think your idea could be put forward for all the benefit of everyone in this forum, and maybe they can go back to their organizations and look for. Yeah, personally, at our level in CKI Melaka, we have managed this crisis. I think we have managed it quite successfully in that sense. So I think for the rest, I think it's about time that we come together and we look into this matter. Yeah, the many blind spots, and this is one of them. All right, thank you.
Yeah, totally agree. Well said, I think. But saying is saying, we still need people to initiate that law. And normally, to initiate anything, it's not just one individual. We need a platform. Always remember, whatever we do, we need to have a platform. This also we have learned through the Buddha's life example. For him to do great things for 45 years, he need a platform. So his platform is the Sangha order, is his platform. And he has set up an organization called the Sangha order. And inside there, you have all the expertise of people. Then he can do big things. So in a similar manner, for a Buddhist organization, a community, we need a platform. The platform can start from any bigger organizations, PMS, Theravada Buddhist Council, MBA, YBAM, or whatever other organization. Even Sekani would like to take the lead, you can take the lead and call all these people together and come up with something that will help the community maybe after the COVID-19 is over. In fact, there's another thing that we also need to be seriously thinking about in this pandemic that we go through. Life will come back to normal at some point in time. When I say normal, it's a new norm. And It's a new norm that will come back maybe a couple of months down the road, depending. And how do we help our community and members to go back to normal in the new norm itself? How can we help individuals in our society to reset their life button? Some of them are going through a little bit more difficult time that they may or may not tell you, but how do we help them to reset their button in their life, in their living, and in every sense? Uh, Again, no Buddhist community has thought about this. All we are concerned is about now lockdown, we stop our activities, and of course, commendable things like what PMS is doing to have this live streaming talk. Maybe other society are also doing that in their own extent. In fact, these days, a lot of society are catching on the bandwagon, and everybody is doing that. So much so that you don't know which one to lock in. But that's just now. But what about the next 6 months, a year down the road? Do we think ahead of helping people to reset their life? What can the Buddhist community do? What can a Buddhist society do? We have not thought about that. Maybe there's something also for us to take away and start thinking what we can do. Many people are picking up the pieces of their life. And I do believe some of our members are like that. So we can help them in a spirit of compassion.
Thank you. There is actually Brother Leslie would like to ask.
Very good thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, I have a question. I think just now.
I also
think,
read.
Okay. From Brother Huat Chye. So for those, I think the Buddha asks us to be prepared. But let's say I think a lot of people get off guard at this time. I think financially or even their work, so they are facing a lot of problem at this moment. Even some of them, if they have some saving or something during this time, maybe they can last for 1 or 2 months. So what can, as a Buddhist, what should we do? And then this is a very practical session. I think a lot of people are having a lot of challenges, I think, especially financially. And then what can, the Dhamma can show us, and then what can we do to overcome, especially those which didn't really prepare, or they just prepared a bit to tackle this challenge.
I think financially, the Buddhist organization, we don't have big funding that we can help anybody financially in that sense. But what we can offer is other than financially, the emotional support, the compassionate gesture in other ways. Offhand, I can't think of any at this point in time, but definitely financially, we are not in a position to help a person to sustain through the next couple of months. But if it is small, basic necessity of food and others support, I'm sure the Buddhist organization can help. But beyond that, personal financial investment, their court, their whatever it is, it's hard for our community to, because we are not we don't have a strong funding to help that. And what they can do is to take cue from the Buddha and to help them to basically replan their life, reorganize their footsteps to move forward. For that, I think advisory, counseling, and reach out to them if they need this. So another thing that the Buddhist organization, bigger Buddhist organization can do is to pool the resources of expertise together. Who are the clinical psychologists that we have? Who are the counselors that we have? Who are the advisory people that we have? Can we pull a team? And it's like a helpline. Anytime they need help, and they can go, and we have experts who can. They may not be able to help them directly, but they can point to the direction where they can get help and things like that. Again, we do not have a one-stop help line in the community to help them, including financial issues that they're going through. So they can even pull good financial planners into the team. The real good financial planner can even give them what to do and how to prioritize their financial. But funding-wise, we may not be help them, but these are good things that we can help. So again, another suggestion: the bigger organization should pull these experts together and form a team of professional help, that they can reach out to, and we should make known to the community and even to the public. Please come to us. as long as we can pull this group of people together. Again, we need a platform.
Sister Pailing, I think Sister Pailing got some question.
Yeah, thank you, Brother DD Huat Chye, and also
Thank you very much. Thank you.
yes, just now you met. Thank you, Brother Baba Chan. Brother Huat Chye keeps saying that major Buddhist organizations. I'd like to share here. We know that he said that the the MBA, more Chinese, and there is actually another Malaysia Buddhist Consultative Council, comprises of 6 major organizations besides BMSM, YBM, TBCM, Theravada Buddhist Council, Vajrayana Buddhist Council, Fo Guang, and Sasana Abhiwadi Vandana. I hope to take this back to the council to discuss about this. Yeah, and of course, we also hope that MBCC can work together with NBA. Collectively, we are like a father fraternity to help. Especially during this crisis time, it's actually an opportunity for us to come together. The Chinese say, 危机就是转机, and it's also a turning point for the Buddhists to come together, especially right now, we are so fragmented.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that sharing. Yes, the council can do something about it. In other words, you need a bigger platform to do big things.
Yeah,
so,
BMSM is very much into interfaith, and I say we are blessed because we have other model to as example, like the Christian, they have Christian Federation of Malaysia. We know that Christian is so, they have even more denominations than us, but they can come together to work together. So it's a good example that we can actually follow, learn. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. I think there are also other comments, but I'm afraid we are short of time. We have already lengthened this session. We thank you very much, DD Tan Huat Chye, for bringing this up. But before I bring this session to a close, just like to make an announcement that the next session will be on April the 19th, which is a Sunday, at 10:30 a.m. Malaysian time. Bante Mahinda, who has just come out from his self-retreat, will be going live on YouTube, and he will be speaking on overcoming fear and worry. We will be following this up with an announcement to give you the link and everything else. And with that, can I request Brother DD Tan Huat Chye to lead us in the dedication of merits?
All right. Perhaps maybe you can mute your sound and then just reflect on what I can share with you. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, today we have spent about more than 2 hours of our precious time together. And according to the Buddha's teaching, listening to the Dhamma and discussion of Dhamma in a timely manner is part of the blessings. We can see that in Mangala Sutta. We can see that also in our meritorious deeds that we have learned. And all these are good things that we have done today. We have charged our mind with positive thoughts and energy. And with all these good deeds that we have done, may we share these merits to, first of all, to people who are close to our heart, our parents, our brothers and sisters, our spouse, our family members, and whosoever that are close to us. May we share these merits with them. May we wish them well. May they wish them be free from diseases and viruses, and may they be well and happy. And may we also share these merits also with especially the people who are fighting in the front line, those doctors, nurses, medical support, and volunteers, people who risk their life for the good of many others. May these merits that we have accrued in this session be unto their well-being also. May they also be protected from harm, protected from diseases and virus. and may they be well and strong to continue their good work. May we also share this merits with all beings, big or small, seen or unseen, known or unknown, beings that fly, that swim, that crawls, that walks, beings in the four corners of this universe, irrespective of their race, irrespective of their type, irrespective of their religion. May they also, rejoice in these good things that we have done, and may they also be blessed with good health. May they be blessed with strength. May they be blessed with good protection from harm and danger. In the name of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, may these merits that we have accrued today be unto all of you who are present here today in this live streaming of the talk. By virtue of your participation, may I also wish, and may we wish together that all of us be well, be happy, and be healthy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, BMS, for arranging this, and sadhu to all the organizers. Brother Leslie for moderating it, Brother KL Lim, Sister Pailing for being generous enough to invite me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, DD Tan Huat Chye. Really much appreciated from Sumita, Malacca. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.